You ever have one of those moments where the world just stops and everything you thought you knew about justice, about right and wrong, gets turned upside down? That's what happened to me, Marcus Turner, the day my little girl, Aisha, got caught in the crosshairs of a broken system. I'm just a dad, a federal agent who spent years chasing bad guys. But nothing cold VE prepared me for the fight I was about to take on in my own backyard. It all started in Fairview, Alabama, a quiet little town where the surface looks calm, but the cracks run deep racial tensions, old grudges, the kind of place where folks smile to your face but whisper behind closed doors. My Aisha, she's 8, born deaf, but man, her spirit lights up a room. She's got this laugh that's like sunshine, and her hands dance when she signs, telling stories faster than most folks can talk. That morning, she was buzzing with excitement, getting ready for her first solo trip to the Fairview Harvest Fair, just a few blocks from our house. My wife, Lena, was nervous hell. I was too, but we'd been prepping Aisha for weeks, teaching her how to handle herself, how to use her communication cards, how to find a safe adult if things went sideways. I knelt down, checked her backpack one last time, and we did our special Cigna little twist of the fingers for love and courage. She grinned, her braids bouncing as she skipped out the door, and I stood on the porch watching her go, my heart swelling with pride, but heavy with that gut-twisting worry only a parent knows. I was at my desk at the FBI field office, sifting through case file civil rights stuff, my beat for over a decade when my phone rang. Lena's voice was shaky, asking if I was sure about letting Aisha go alone. I told her we'd prepared her, that she needed this independence, but deep down, I was second-guessing myself. Fairview wasn't always kind to folks like us, and Aisha, being black and deaf, carried a double burden in a town where some folks still clung to old prejudices. I pushed the thought aside, told myself she'd be fine. I was wrong. The fair was alive with music and color, and Aisha was soaking it all in, clutching her cards, her eyes wide with wonder. She was navigating the world on her own terms, and for a moment, she felt unstoppable. Then she bumped into a group of teenager-spoiled kids from the wealthier side of town, the kind who think they own the place. One of them, a lanky kid in a snapback, snatched her communication card and held it up, laughing as his buddies mocked her signs, twisting their hands in cruel imitations. Aisha's hands flew, signing please and give it back, but their laughter only got louder. Tears stung her eyes as she jumped for the card. And that's when the cops showed up. Officers Carl Hensley and Nate Brewer, Fairview PD's finester, so they thought. Hensley, a grizzled vet with a rap sheet of complaints longer than my arm, swaggered over, his hand already on his holster. Brewer, younger, eager to prove himself, trailed behind like a loyal dog. "What's going on here?" Hensley barked, his voice sharp, but Aisha couldn't hear him. She reached for her card on the ground, trembling, and Hensley's face twisted with irritation. "I'm talking to you, kid," he snapped, stepping closer, his boot inches from crushing her card. Aisha signed frantically, trying to explain she was deaf, but to Hensley, it looked like defiance. Brewer hesitated, mumbling, "Hey, Carl, maybe she can't hear you." But Hensley scoffed. "Playing games, huh? I've seen this trick before, acting disabled to get a free pass." Then came Ellen Carver, a local shop owner with a reputation for calling the cops on anyone who didn't fit her idea of Fairview. "Officers, thank God you're here," she said, her voice dripping with fake concern. "That girl was causing trouble, harassing customers, probably stealing from my shop." It was a lie, pure and simple, but it was all Hensley needed. He grabbed Aisha's arm, yanking her so hard she stumbled. Her hands moved faster, signing, "I'm deaf, please," but Hensley wasn't listening. "She's getting aggressive," he growled, misreading her signs as a threat. Brewer shifted, uneasy, but said nothing. A woman in the crowd, a black mom who'd seen too much of this, stepped forward. She's just a kid, and she's deaf. Can't you see she's trying to talk to you? Hensley shot her a glare. Back off, or you're next. It happened so fast. Aisha, terrified, reached into her pocket for her ID card, the one we'd drilled into her to show in emergencies. Brewer shouted, "Gun!" and before anyone could blink, Hensley fired. The crack of the gunshot split the air, and Aisha crumpled, blood staining her pink dress as she hit the pavement. The crowd screamed, phones out, capturing every second of the heroin 8-year-old girl, shot for reaching for her ID. Hensley stood over her, gun still drawn, while Brewer froze, his face pale. Aisha's small hand twitched, signing love and courage one last time before she passed out. I was buried in paperwork when my phone buzzed a number I didn't know, Fairview's area code. "Mr. Turner, your daughter's been shot at the fair. She's at St. Luke's Hospital, critical." The words hit like a freight train. I don't remember grabbing my keys or telling my boss I was leaving. I just drove, breaking every speed limit, my mind racing with images of Aisha's smile, her signs, the way she trusted me to keep her safe. Had I failed her? Had they ignored her cards, her signs? Or did they just not care? At the hospital, Lena was a wreck, her face streaked with tears as she sat in the waiting room. "She's in surgery," she whispered. The bullet hit her shoulder, near her spine. A doctor, his scrubs bloody, told us they'd removed most of the fragments, but some were too close to her spinal cord to touch. She'd lost so much blood, and the nerve damage meant months of therapy if she pulled through. Then came Police Chief Daniel Vance, all polished boots and fake sympathy. "Mr. and Mrs. Turner, I'm so sorry about this unfortunate incident," he said, his hand checking his body cam off, of course. "The officers are on leave pending investigation." Lena's voice was steel. "Unfortunate. Your men shot my deaf daughter." Vance didn't flinch. "She didn't comply with commands, ma'am." It was a complex situation. I stepped forward, towering over him. "She's deaf, you idiot. She couldn't hear your commands. I want names, and I want body cam footage now." His eyes narrowed. "Officers Hensley and Brewer. As for footage, there was a technical issue. We're looking into it." That technical issue was the first red flag. I didn't flash my FBI badge, not yet. I wanted them to think I was just a dad, not a fed with a vendetta. Back in Aisha's room, I sat by her bed, watching the machines beep, her small body so still it broke me. Lena was out rallying family, and I was alone with my thoughts, my phone buzzing with a news alert. I opened it and saw the footage grainy, from a bystander's phone, but clear enough to show Hensley throwing Aisha down, firing without warning, her small body collapsing. I gripped my phone so hard I thought it'd crack. What would you do, seeing your kid brutalized by the people sworn to protect her? Would you trust the system, or would you burn it down yourself? I called my boss, Director Sam Carver, from a hospital stairwell, keeping my voice low. "Sam, I need to go off the books. This isn't just about Aisha, it's bigger." Sam sighed. "You know I can't greenlight that, Marcus. But you're on leave for a family emergency. Whatever you find, make it airtight before you bring it to me." I started digging, quietly, methodically, like I'd done for years on civil rights cases. First stop, the police station. I flashed my badge not to start a war, but to get access. "Preliminary review, potential civil rights violation," I told the desk sergeant, who looked like he'd seen a ghost. Within minutes, I was in the records room, pulling files on Hensley and Brewer. Hensley's file was a horror show, 9 excessive force complaints, all against black folks, all swept under the rug. He'd bounced from Birmingham PD after a near firing for beating a black teen. Brewer was greener, just 2 years in, but his review screamed, "Follows Hensley's lead." The pattern was clear. Chief Vance protected his own, especially when the victims were black. I was photographing documents when Sergeant Maya Jackson slipped in, her eyes darting to the door. "You're not just Aisha's dad, are you?" she whispered. I nodded. "FBI, Civil Rights Division." Off the record for now. She handed me a flash drive. Hensley and Brewer's texts, 6 months worth. I pulled them before they could disappear. Reed's a problem, and Vance knows it. I took the drive, not asking how she got it plausible deniability. Why help me? I asked. Her jaw tightened. I became a cop to protect my people, not watch them get gunned down. This department's rotten, and I'm done staying quiet. That night, in a cheap motel room I'd booked under a fake name, I opened the flash drive. The texts were vile Hensley tossing around slurs, calling Fairview's Black East Side the jungle, even joking about Aisha post-shooting. Kid won't sign so fast now, huh? Brewer laughed along, complicit. It was enough to prove racial bias, a slam dunk for a civil rights case. Then came the Thrida distorted voice on a blocked call. Back off, Turner, or your wife and kid won't be so lucky next time. My blood ran cold, but it told me I was close. I called Lena, told her to stay with Aisha and not let anyone near her. Then I called Sam, who sent 2 undercover agents to the hospital, posing as security. Aisha was struggling. Physically, she was stabilizing, but her spirit was shattered. She wouldn't sign, wouldn't even look at my hands when I tried to talk. The trauma doc, Dr. Sarah Nguyen, said it was selective mutism, her brain shutting down her language to protect itself. She'd started drawing, though, dark sketches of a cop looming over a small figure, gun drawn. It tore me apart, but Dr. Nguyen said it was progress, a way for Aisha to process what words couldn't hold. The protests outside grew louder, Lena at the forefront, her voice raw but fierce as she led chants for justice. The media caught wind, and a reporter, Tara Miles, slipped me her card. I don't buy the police's story. Call me. I was building a network. Jackson, Miles, even a nervous internal affairs captain, Greg Holt, who met me at a diner and spilled about Vance's iron grip on the department. He shuts down every complaint against Hensley, Holt said, his hands shaking. I tried to investigate, but Vance has the mayor and DA in his pocket. As he left, I spotted Hensley at the counter, his eyes scanning the room. I kept my cool, paid my bill, and walked out, but a patrol car tailed me back to the motel. They knew I was digging. Then Jackson called with a game changer. The body cam footage wasn't gone. Vance had ordered it marked corrupted, but it was on a secure server, backed up to the cloud every 72 hours. The next backup was at 3 a.m. I reached out to a federal judge, Carla Ruiz, who'd issued a preservation order after I showed her my dossier texts, records, witness accounts. This is bigger than your daughter, Mr. Turner, she said, her voice grave. I'm issuing warrants for the footage and records, executed by marshals, not locals. That night, I got another text from Brewer, of all people, asking to meet at a park. He was a wreck, pacing in the dark. It wasn't supposed to go down like that, he stammered. Hensley lied, and Vance told us to stick to the story. The footage shows everything Hensley escalating, using slurs, shooting for no reason. I pressed him. Why talk now? He looked away. My cousin's autistic. I keep seeing him in Aisha, wondering if he's next. The climax came fast. Jackson texted at midnight. Vance and his cronies are in the evidence room, wiping the servers. I called Judge Ruiz, who greenlit an emergency raid. Federal marshals stormed the station, catching Vance and his right-hand man, Captain Paul Carvarellan's cousin red-handed. The footage was saved, and it was worse than I'd imagined. Aisha signing desperately, Hensley mocking her, then shooting without a shred of cause, his voice dripping with hate. It was a hate crime, plain and simple, backed by years of records showing Fairview PD targeting black and disabled folks. The arrests were a spectacle. Vance, Hensley, Carver, even the mayor's buddy, Judge Larson, all cuffed and paraded past news cameras. Ellen Carver cracked under questioning, admitting she'd lied about Aisha to protect her cousin's department. The town exploded. Protests, news vans, Lena's voice cutting through it all, demanding change. Fairview PD was placed under a federal consent decree, with Jackson named interim chief to clean house. Aisha started healing, her hands moving again, signing love and courage when she saw me on TV, taking down the men who'd hurt her. She even started an ASL program for cops, teaching them to understand folks like her. Lena joined a national reform panel, her voice carrying Aisha's story to Congress. 6 months later, I stood in Vance's old office as he packed his things, federal agents watching. I set Aisha's hospital photo on his desk, her small body tangled in tubes. "This is what you did," I said, my voice low. "You built a system that let monsters like Hensley thrive." Aisha thought her signs got her shot. "She stopped talking for weeks because of you." Vance muttered some excuse, but I cut him off. "Your powerful friends are gone, Daniel. You're just a man now, answering for what you've done." Outside, Fairview was changing new training, body cam rules, a civilian board to hold cops accountable. Aisha, now 9, was speaking at a national conference, her hands flying, telling her story not as a victim, but as a force for change. But here's where it gets messy. The system's not fixed, not by a long shot. Hensley and Vance face years in prison. But what about the next town, the next kid like Aisha? Justice isn't just handcuffs. It's making sure this never happens again. So, I'm asking you, what would you do if this was your kid? Would you play by the rules, or go rogue like I did? Drop a comment, say 1, if you'd tear the system down yourself, 2, if you'd trust it to work. Like and subscribe if Aisha's story hit you hard, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. We've got to keep talking, keep listening, not just with our ears, but with our hearts. Because if an 8-year-old can find her voice again, maybe we can too.